Hi, I'm Adam Osofsky, and this is my 10-year anniversary special. Stay tuned. Wow, the first thing comes to mind is why do this? Because something I want to reach a personal milestone, and personally, I would like to get somewhere where I needed to be, and music got me there. So the story as it begins, I was 15 years old, and it was the summer of 2008, and I remember going to my aunt's house like sometimes like 3 days a week, and she had an acoustic, like a strumming acoustic guitar. So the cool thing about the strumming acoustic, I was just like, and just strumming and just playing it was like, wow, it's a good feeling. And I wanted to prove that the feeling is there. And so I remember just looking up YouTube videos, watching my very first band that really inspired me was Metallica. And I remember watching their live stuff, strumming along with them, just like, I mean, like, that could be me right there. So in October of 2008, I remember, I was playing Guitar Hero and, just learning the whole five finger button thing. And I really didn't, I was like, you know what, screw this. Who needs to play? I want to learn the real thing, you know. So I begged my parents, can I get a guitar and an amplifier for Christmas? And my dad took me to Guitar Center, and we were looking around. I don't know if he had a budget or not. So it's like, okay, you got to keep that cool, calm, collective budget. And I saw a ESP LTD EX100, like my very first guitar. It had the Explorer shape, like James Hetfield, and I was just like, my God, this is awesome. And then I plugged it in, and then I was just like straight fiddling, and I was like, you know, I like the sound, and the problem was like the amplifier that was plugged in was a line 6, and then I ended up getting a PV, which traded in up to like the few down the road, but the PV did its job. It made the sound that it was supposed to do. It was my first guitar, so I was like, okay, I'll just practice and see what happens. You get a guitar, you gotta learn, and in October, I was anticipating all of this, October, then going from October, November, and I'm like, oh my God, where is it, And and I remember the first thing I looked at my tablature book, and I was like, before I had to let it go, because it was a Christmas gift, and I remember I was just like, I was learning Wherever I May Roam, just a little bit of Wherever I May Roam, and then it got shipped away, and then I had to wait 2 months. The cool, the waiting, the anticipation of that was really interesting. And I remember when I first got my guitar on Christmas of 2008, I was like, as soon as I got it, I opened it, I took the amplifier box, and I brought it upstairs to my room, and just like, screw all the presents, screw all the other presents. I just wanted to play, you know. But yeah, no, I had some fun doing all that. And when they were like, okay, let's see where it really takes you. So that was the summer of two. That was from the summer to Christmas of 2008. There's the beginning. So going in my freshman year of high school and going into my sophomore year, so those roads are down the line. So I took guitar lessons, and the teacher was pretty cool. He knew what he was talking about somewhat, but he was a cool dude. He taught me how to play chords, just like regular strums. And we were just learning chords, and I was like, I get it. I get it. I didn't want to play chords at first. I was not a fan of chords at all, because I'm like, okay, finger placement's ridiculous. And now and then I learned progressively till now. I was like, okay, now I like chords. But the cool thing is that playing the chords, and then I was like, okay, when are you going to teach me the real stuff? And then the first song I've ever learned from through and through was playing that through Lee. I remember playing Enter Sandman like consistently, because that's all I knew. It's the only song I knew how to play, like through and through. So going into my sophomore year, music saved my life. That's where I started really writing my lyrics. That's when I really been starting writing my own songs, because of inspiration. But going in my junior year, that's another story. But yeah, no, my sophomore year, I was just like learning. I was just like, all right, so now I know how to do that. Just like instead of like literally palm muting, I was just like. And then, in my sophomore year, I wrote this riff, and I was just like, and it kind of stuck with me. And then, I was pretty much, it was like open, that was like my first riff. That was when I first started Speed. But my freshman, sophomore year, I remember going to my first show. I saw Metallica when I was 15, and then it's also when I was 16. So those two shows, and I was like, just watching Hetfield play, I was like, oh my God. It was amazing. Seeing that in person, hearing the amplifier, hearing all that sound, and it's like, you know what, I really want to do this. And then going into my sophomore year, and then I saw them again, and I was like, all right, I'm having more fun with it. Then, really nothing really did major. I did nothing majorly sophomore year. I was just writing music, and then my junior year was the best one. My junior year was the most complicated, but yet biggest challenge of my life in my music. One of my biggest challenges of my life in my music career, should I say? So, my junior year, I was pretty intact. I enjoyed every moment I had. I'm not going into the dark stuff, but there was a light out of it. So I was in a class called Rock Band, And I learned a lot from guitar players, like speed, learning how to, learning literally how to palm mute. So like, I was like, instead of going like this, I was learning how to palm mute. I was learning how to, write some scale, and then it really progressed my speed up. So I was learning like, so just like learning scale, speed, and all that. So I took the positive note on all that, and then I learned more sophisticated songs. And then the winter of 2011, 2011, the winter of that was there was part of me change. There was a lot of changes, and there was this kid I knew. I remember I used to date his sister. It was a long time ago. Who cares? But I'm not getting into that. Yeah, you're looking at me like, what are you doing? um, so, yeah, so there was this kid that I knew, and he played bass. And then going the winter into the spring, we were just jamming, and, he would come over my house every day. We would work on music, play Grand Theft Auto, and we had so much fun writing. And then we knew another kid who played guitar, who happened to have the same name as the bass player. And the coolest thing was, I enjoyed every moment, like going after school, jamming, just playing. And then this riff came up. And then after playing that, then we pretty much were trying to be a thrash metal band. We didn't even have a name. So yeah, going to that time was amazing because, I would be playing, and thanks to him, I expanded more bands. I got into Queensryche. I got more into Soundgarden than I usually was. What other bands? He loved Megadeth, so it's like that battle between Metallica and Megadeth. But I got into more of, other bands like, Teresa's was just a power metal band from another country. Forgot which one. I got into Lacuna Coil, band from Italy. And then there was a lot more expansions that we've learned, and just looking at their style. So we were like, By the time they graduated high school, they were a grade above me. By the time they graduated high school, I was like, what do I do? And my music did not change. So I was just learning and learning consistently, and just continue to play. So going into my senior year and to the end of my senior year, like I really really wasn't musically active with people, but going into the end of my senior year, going into the summer of 2012, I was pretty much I was this considered the mall rat, where kids would come and hang out on a Friday night, and because of that, I learned a lot, and I met a lot of musicians. So there was this kid who came up to me, there was this kid that knew me, and you know, he introduced me to this one guy. He was like, "Hey, you know, I'm in a band, and I would like to have, you know, I'd like to hear you play." And you know, I remember setting up a Skype audition, and you know, and I blew them away, and they really enjoyed it. So the coolest thing was that, you know, they said, "Oh, you got it." I'm like, "Cool, when can we start?" And then they took a little hiatus, and then the winter of 2012, going into 2013, you know, we connected. We said, you know, let's jam, and then we didn't even have a drummer. We didn't have a bass player, so it was just him and I, which got really awkward. And then I remember January 2013, I played my very first show, which I want to consider a show. Like, I was in front of like 30 to 50 of the singer's family members, you know, because it was his birthday party, and you know, I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to play. And the funny thing was about this story, I remember my first time meeting these people, and I remember the first thing I was freaking out because I remember the first thing that was said to me, like, "You better play good tonight." And I was like, oh boy, the pressure's on me. So I remember, so yeah, I remember that first show. You know, I remember the mic kept falling on me during when I was singing, and I couldn't sing it for shit at the time. I don't remember. I remember I couldn't sing for shit at the time. And yeah, I remember, you know, playing Metallica's Creepy Death and opening up. And, you know, then there was this key, my vocalist comes out of some room and has makeup on. And I was like, oh no. And there was this picture of me smiling like, oh my God, I can't take this kid seriously. But, you know, he was my friend. But I loved, you know, I loved the moments, but, you know, people were pretty cool, you know, the critics. But yeah, no, I had a good time on that. But yeah, I remember the first time I played that show, I was nervous. When you're nervous, you're like, what do I do, you know? And you know, it was like, oof, rough crowd. But you know what though? It's called about having fun with music. Just having fun. Who gives a shit about what they're doing? Are you jealous because can you play an instrument? You know. And I remember the critics were being so harsh. They forced us to split. The both of us. We had so much fun. We really didn't give a damn. But you know, whatever. And then continuing on, the summer of 13, I remember playing with a band called the Space Crickets, which was one of my buddies' friends' band. They played. It was his graduation party, and I remember, oh, I had my gear in my car. You know, what song is he like learning? And I went up to their lead vocalist. And I was like, you know, if I can join you guys, you know, just for a one song jam. And they're like, sure. It ended up being a two. And I remember it was from School's Out by Alice Cooper, and because I knew how to play that. So I knew how to play the song, and they were like, yeah, "You're James's friend, right?" I was like, "Yeah." So I got my gear, you know, I went to jam with them, and the first song I knew, but when they got back to the USSR with by the Beatles, I had to turn my knobs down, everything, because I didn't want to. I had to turn my guitar knobs down, my volume knobs down, and I was like, what did I do to deserve this, you know? And I was like, I couldn't figure it out. And I was watching their playing, and I was like, okay, this is embarrassing. So yeah, the summer of 2013 was fun, you know, was barely playing, but I got to it when Metallica's movie came back out, and I did like a whole little jam. But yeah, I enjoyed every moment I've had that summer. That was that was pretty much the best summer of my life. Summer of 2013 was the best summer of my life. Where, despite my problems then, but I was still the best summer of my life because I had so much fun. But it has nothing to do with music. So yeah, no, I remember oops. So yeah, no, I remember getting this one, this guitar especially. It was 2013. I was just talking about that. Going into the end of 2013, I got this guitar. I remember just keep playing it. I keep going to Guitar Center, and then I was like, oh wow, I can figure it out. Like, what can I do? And I had a pedal, so I traded that pedal in, and I got $100 for it, and then I put it towards this, and then it was someone special in my life got me gave me she's like, go get your guitar. You deserve that. I want you to keep playing. I don't want you to stop. So yeah, no, and that's how my 2013 ended. Then I kept, then I got some stuff going into 2014. I remember in 2014, I just kept playing. I was in a band called In Darkness We Stray, which was me, some other Mallrats got together and worked on this music. But, when you have so many genre of metal and hard rock and all that, it doesn't combine. So we did a little jamming, and that little jamming, we were supposed to play a show. And the show, all my band members showed up, but they didn't want to come out and play. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. The show must go on. I'll play guitar. I'll just fiddle up there, just to keep the time slot going. I don't want anyone waiting and be like, oh, where's the music? So we enjoyed every moment of having that. So I was up there just fiddling. And then there's this band called Moral Support. They knew how much I loved playing Metallica tunes and Slayer tunes. So, they was on their set list, so I got up there and jammed with them. And had a good time. And then right after, I was so musically active, I was like, oh, I'm so ready to continue. And then, 2015 came. Really wasn't, I was just playing, nothing big. And then 2016 came, still big nothing. But going into all these years, just playing, just getting so into it, I wanted to continue on with my music, and till this day, 10 years later, I'm enjoying every moment of it. It's the best feeling you can ever get, It's the best feeling, and there was so many things in my life I appreciate. There was things in my life I didn't appreciate when it comes to my music. But yeah, no, and I'm just enjoying every moment. So yeah, no, it's not like I'm not musically active anymore. I'm still playing. I'm not going to stop playing. I just want to enjoy every moment I can get. And it's my coffee in the morning, my chill in the evening, just fiddling, just playing. And then I was just enjoying myself. So 10 years of amazing stuff going in, and I'm going to continue on with it. So I'm not stopping. There's people that did tell me, oh, you should stop playing because you're not that good. I'm not listening to the critics. I want to continue playing. So, I'm enjoying every moment I can get out of it. And 10 years has been long down the road. So many things. So, anyway, this is the end of my special. And I hope y'all enjoy it. So, I'm going to continue to play. Oh, that was a shitty one.